Goody will drive. Left-handed flush over the top of Kepning and the foul.
15 to shoot. Pull back, step back three. Bottom! Trey Woodbury!
Humphrey to the goal to win it for the Mavericks. It's short, tipped back in. Weaver got it. Yes! Jones for the tie. Oh, he's fouled and one.
You kidding me?
It's knocked away, still loose. Doherty the heave. Oh my God! It's good.
There's no possible deflection for Southern Utah.
Wow! Harrison with another three.
Southern Utah is going to do something they've never done before. Go to the NCAA tournament.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of the Straight Outta WAC podcast. It is July 17th. That means that we are 1 week away. This time next week, we will be starting our team preview weeks. Again, we're going in order of the WAC standings, regular season standings, not the seeding system. So we will have the defending regular season champs in the Southern Utah women and the Utah Valley men next week for you as we get started counting down to this 2023-24 season with a revamped WAC, I guess you could say, 11 teams. This New Mexico State, Sam Houston left for Conference USA. We'll get to that in another episode where we'll talk about that alliance. But got two special guests. We kind of hung out in Vegas. I don't know. We had some good times. Hunter Overholt might be able to tell you a little bit more stories. But they run the PartinMeAlex podcast about Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks men's basketball. Jaclyn, Alex, you know them. You probably check them out on YouTube. Maybe you listen to them on Spotify, wherever else they have their podcast. They are on the WACHoopsDigest.com website, too. We do have a page dedicated to them so that whenever they upload their episodes, you can see those as well. So welcome to the Straight Outta WAC podcast. I feel like we did a live stream maybe last year, 2 years ago. I can't remember, but we're starting off this summer the right way.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks for having us. We appreciate it, even though it's after 9 our time, but it's getting closer to our bedtime, Kyle, okay? Calm down.
It's really, yeah, I mean, it's really not really close to bedtime. It's only 9 o'clock, so the question is it cooler at 9 o'clock in the evening than it is at 9 o'clock in the morning in Texas right now?
Absolutely.
No time of the day is cooler. It's just hotter.
Do you guys use air conditioning, or do you have to use swamp coolers because it's so humid? I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, we live in the sticks, Kyle. We do have a thing called central cooling and heating, HVAC. Yeah, we have electricity. We have AC. And we use it to its full capability.
It was just the humidity question. I don't know how ACs work with the humidity very well, so I just was curious. I live in a dry heat, so I'm a little bit more fortunate there.
Yeah, very, very different.
Yeah, we run our AC till it's literally like it's gagging, man. It's needing air, but that's why every room has a ceiling fan, and that's why we spend most of our time in the summer inside.
Yeah, I don't want to be outside unless I'm in the pool. That's it.
100%.
My 6-year-old is afraid of pools. I don't know why. He's terrified of it. We were supposed to go swimming 2 weeks ago with my friend for July 4th and his family. My kid didn't even want to get in the pool. We put a life jacket on him. I was holding him, he was terrified. Like, it's kind of weird, and I hope he gets over that. I'm about ready to just throw him in the pool and say, "Learn to swim, son," because I feel like that's the only way I might get him to do that.
Maybe put him in swimming lessons.
We might have to do that. He had a traumatic event a couple of years ago when we were camping, and we were floating down the river, and he was riding with one of my friends, and they hit a little bump and went under the water. So that might have been it. That could cause problems. So
not gonna lie, that might do it, but you could always just do what they do in the movie What About Bob, and they just literally throw the kid in the lake and say,
exactly. That's how I learned to swim. Was my dad threw me in a lake. So
exactly.
I might have to do that. All right, Alex and Jaclyn, let's talk about the story. You just put it out on your Facebook page. I want to say that I had a part in leading you to that site, I guess you could say. But tell the fans, SFA fans, WAC fans, whatever, where they can find your SFA gear now that you've started your own little shop.
Yeah, no, thanks, Kyle. So we did have a shop prior, but it was literally just t-shirts and sweaters and things like that. But thanks to Kyle, he did point us in the right direction to a different website that had not only all the things we already had, but had like a million more items, hats, bags, stickers, coffee mugs, tumblers, you name it, and they have it. So we've been working hard over the summer trying to start the shop and pretty much pull all the designs we had from our original store over to this one and then add new ones. So working on getting more designs and stuff. We have the same designs we had in the original store, obviously, plus all the new merch that goes along with it. And then we want to add, we want to add stuff for the other sports too, give some love to football, give some love to soccer, volleyball, baseball and softball when those come up, even bowling, because God love them. Yeah. So you can find our new store in the same place it was in the past on our website. If you just go onto our website, which you can access through any of our social media pages, just click on the link and just go under the link that says shop our store, and boom, it'll take you right there. And like I said, we have stuff for football and of course basketball, men's and women's. We have general game day gear that you can wear to any sport, hats, bags, all of the things. So you could do your early Christmas shopping if you so desire.
And we'll put a link. There'll be a link in the description below on YouTube. So make sure you support them. They're trying to go to the Cayman Islands in November for the MTE, the SFA men's basketball team. I was trying to maybe work it out to where I might be able to take my wife on a little vacation, but I don't know that we're going to be able to work that out. I was kind of hoping. We'll see. It's still up in the air. But help the girls out to get there to go support the Lumberjacks when they go down there November 18th, 19th, and 20th, or 19th through the 21st, if I remember right.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, 19th through the 21st. So some good basketball that they're going to be able to play. Speaking of the Lumberjacks, we had a good time in Vegas. You guys might not have, but we had a good time.
We had a great time. Yes, we lost the first game, but we had a great time hanging with you and everyone else and watching some really good basketball. So
yeah. So if you didn't know, they actually stayed with us and hung out with us at the arena till the final games of the night were done.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was me, my friend John, who was there helping me do some copy editing stuff, Alex and Jax. And then we had Bill Hardy, who's a New Mexico State guy that was with us at some of the nights. I want to say, what was the place that we went to the first night? We went to a taco place, if I remember right.
That was the place that y'all suggested. I can't remember the name, though.
Yeah, you suggested it. How do you not remember?
It was John that suggested it. But anyways, we went and got some tacos. They were really good.
They were good.
That was delicious. I've never had anything like that before.
Yeah. And we went to a couple hole-in-the-wall bars after late games. I still remember that Friday night when it probably took me an hour to order my food. If you want to ask them, you know, when they're on Twitter, when we post this and you see this, just ask them how I was. I was zoned out because and maybe you guys were too, but I still couldn't believe what I saw that night in the final, 18 minutes of that ball game. Like, I shouldn't relive it.
No, don't relive it. Was it called Tacos El Gordo? Was that it?
Tacos El Gordo was the place.
Yeah, that was it.
Fantastic.
Delicious.
So, and we did teach Hunter Overholt a new word.
Oh God, don't. Oh.
But we won't say what word it is. You'll have to ask Hunter Overholt.
I was going to say, I don't think that's podcast appropriate.
It's
I
not.
don't think your fans are ready for that
it's
level.
Just fun when you see a guy learn something new. Let's just put it that way. It is fun and entertaining, and we had some fun with it. But let's talk about this SFA thing. 19 wins last year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not the season they were hoping for, but I mean, the injury bug was crazy for the Jacks all season. I mean, they didn't even get I don't even know if they ever had a full team ready to go throughout the season. Like, it was just Jalil Bolbrin had a broken foot. Rati Ware was still dealing with knee issues. Day Hall was playing with a shoulder issue all season. Nana gets taken out at the end of the season. It's just crazy stuff. How was that for you guys as fans to watch and go through and deal with and still realize, well, we still won 19 games, beat up on some good teams? Like, it just, I don't know. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's hard. And that's one thing that Alex and I really tried to address on a lot of our podcasts, because the most devoted of fans that come to every game, they realize that and they see it. But, the casual observer is just like, oh, why aren't we doing any better this year? Why can't we win more games? And they don't see all the behind the scenes from every single game, living it like we did,
Yeah, and you're right, Jaclyn, 100% agree. The everyday Joe Schmo off the street isn't going to really fully understand how in dire straits this team was. And you're right, Kyle, I don't know if there ever was a time, if it was maybe 1 or 2 games that we had an actual like healthy lineup. Even when we had our normal starting 5, there was still at least one person on the starting 5 or more who weren't 100% healthy. So, I mean, there were guys playing through injuries, playing through recovery, playing through every single little thing that you could imagine. It was a rough season. I mean, at one point we had maybe 5, maybe 4 that were not dealing with any injuries, and that's on a good day. And it was a rough season to go through. And then the fact that we still won 19 games, didn't get to the 20th, and it happens, but winning 19 games going through the injury bug prone season that we went through was actually pretty good. It could have been a lot worse.
It's not even bringing up, we're not even talking about Montavious Murphy leaving right before the season began, which he was going to be the starting 5-man for the Jacks. And then Jalen Jackson Posey broke his hand. I think it was either before the season started, or it was right as the season started, and it was in practice. He just got it stepped on, and then he leaves towards the last couple of weeks in I believe it was after they beat New Mexico State in Las Cruces. That was his last game that he played for the Jacks, and now he's at New Mexico State. That's kind of crazy to me, but
it is crazy.
That's 2 starters that really didn't play much all season. Nana was thrust into a role that he probably wasn't going to play as many minutes because Montavious Murphy's gone. Jalil Bolbrin's hurt, so he had to be thrust into that. I don't know that AJ Kajus was supposed to play that many minutes this year. He was supposed to be kind of mentored by Jalen Jackson Posey, and they were going to be dynamic this year. I think I had a thought that if SFA were to maybe stay in the 2, 3, 4, or get a top 4 seed this past year in the WAC tournament, that Kyle Keller should have had, his name should have been in the race for that WAC Coach of the Year. I know it didn't pan out that way, but man, New Mexico State fans still going about the 2021 or 2020-21 season, and how they didn't get to practice at home. SFA fans could go on about this season and how crazy it was, and it's just very unfortunate. Maybe that's a good sign, though, that they had all that, so some guys got more playing time.
Actually, I agree. I think it was a blessing in disguise in a way, because you're right. A lot of the guys who maybe originally weren't going to get a lot of playing time because of, seniority or whatever. But, I mean, the first game that AJ went in, I turned to Jaclyn and I was like, oh, God, I really hope that he gets more playing time just so that he can get better, because it wasn't the best showing. It was the first game of the season. It was one of the very first games, second game of the year. I mean, it wasn't the best on his end, and I'm sure he could probably admit to that. And then I'm not even kidding. I don't know what happened. Something clicked and he just took off. And he played some of the best basketball I've ever seen out of a first-year guy. I mean, he's insane. I mean, and that was like that for a couple of the other guys too. I mean, they just kept getting better. I mean, Nigel played some of the best basketball. Even Nigel wasn't 100% towards the end of the season. None of them were. And he played some of the best basketball I've ever seen Nigel play ever in an SFA uniform at the very last few weeks of the season. Insane. I mean, I shout out to all the guys on the team last year for battling through all the injuries and all the adversity. And, yes, it didn't end the way we wanted. And sitting in that media room at the end of the season in Vegas was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to sit through in my life, barring a few things, but it's top 5 for sure. That was rough.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I agree 100%. Like, at least half of the team wouldn't have progressed the way that they did had it not been the circumstances that we had. So I think a lot of them have their skill level is 10 times higher than it would have been.
Yeah.
It might have been a blessing in disguise a little bit. Like, let's be real. And the good thing is the Jacks for 2023-24. I mean, Kyle Keller's had his roster basically complete since April. If I'm reading right, like they've been done recruiting since April. And so they've had time to get together. I think Frank Stain might be the only guy that hasn't been fully at SFA all summer. He's been doing things and playing in other leagues. But I mean, Clayton Southwick, Krishan Christmas, one of the best names that's going to be in the WAC this year.
Best name ever. I cannot wait for a t-shirt idea to spring into my head or Jaclyn's head.
Just the paper is amazing.
So great. Cannot wait.
Yep.
I got an idea cooking right now.
Can't wait. Merry Christmas, baby.
Yeah. I think that'll be a good one. Get Miles Jenkins. I believe he's a JUCO transfer, maybe a D2. Anderson University might be a D2.
I think he is D2, if I can remember correctly. I re-listened to the podcast that we did with Kyle right when the summer started, and so I was trying to remember everything that we had talked about each guy, but I'm pretty sure that that is a D2 school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he pulled 2 WAC guys, Frank Stain from Utah Tech and Jelani Stone from California Baptist. So he's added some size again. And then Kamari Wilson from Triton College, 6-foot guard, sophomore guard. So, when you guys talk to Kyle Keller, if you haven't seen it, we'll put a link in the description below too. The girls sat down at the SFA practice facility in the SFA team room.
It was the Alex and Jaclyn room. Get it right.
Her name was
Alex and Jaclyn room. I apologize.
Yeah.
But go check it out. There's a podcast episode where they sat down with Kyle Keller it was almost an hour that you guys talked with him, maybe a little more.
it was a little over.
What did you take away from that?
He was first of all, a small background on this. He's been bugging us ever since we started this podcast to do this. And every time we said like, okay, yeah, coach, we'll get with you. We always kind of took a step back. We're like, I don't know. Like, he's just so busy. Like we'd hate to bug him. That's how we felt. Like, we don't want to bug him, but he kept telling us, call me.
We never asked him because we didn't think he would want to do it or have the time or be interested or whatever.
So when this last time at the end of the season, he was like, girls, you better get me on the podcast. Like, he was very, very adamant. We're like, okay, coach, like, we promise this is the off season. We're doing it. So we finally got it worked out and we met with him, and you're right. It was like almost over an hour. And I mean, he set up the entire thing in the locker room. Like, we thought we were just going to chill in his office, but he went above and beyond. He was so hospitable and welcoming. And man, he talked and he divulged some stuff that I didn't think he was going to talk about. He talked about stuff and about the team and about the new guys that I didn't think that he would even, think to mention. I mean, he went into very good depth and detail about every single new guy on the team. And I took notes and stuff, rewatching it and listening it today. And I mean, he's in love with these guys. Like Clayton Southwick, he could not stop talking about him.
Yeah.
And also, he had no notes that he went off of for.
Literally, he's holding a cup of Dr. or whatever the heck he was drinking, water. Like he just off memory, everything, stats.
No notes, no highlights, like nothing. He was just from memory, everything.
How high he is on Clayton Southwick that he flew out. It was either late Thursday night or Friday to go to Clayton Southwick's wedding, and then he flew right back to Texas, to get back to work, because Clayton Southwick got married in Utah. So, kind of crazy. That's how high he is on that guy. He's been telling me about Clayton Southwick since they signed him last year. So that surprised me.
Again, that doesn't surprise me either. He's really, really close with all the players, former and current. So that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he just could not. He called him a grown man. He said everybody's wanting size. Well, he's the size we need. And if you're seeing pictures, people, of the entire team during these road games that they're doing, Clayton is a big dude. A big dude. I was like, holy crap, he was not wrong. Just the size on him. I mean, again, Krishan Christmas, what a name. What a name. He divulged that, I guess, in the offices and locker room, they call him Santa Claus. Which I think is great, by the way. He called him like the toughest and the gluest guy, like he's the glue that keeps the team together. He also referred to him as the poor man Ty Charles. So if you're an SFA fan from way back, not way back when, but within the last 5 to 6 years, you'll understand when he says a poor man's Ty Charles. And that sounds like a diss, but I promise you it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. He talked in just an absolute awe of all of these guys. And I just cannot wait to meet them and see them on the court. I mean, they've been working so hard over the summer. Those road games are rough. Texas heat, all day in the morning. It doesn't matter what time it's at. It's rough for them out there, and they are killing it.
So, as we wind down this podcast episode, this is where it's going to get people to watch the whole episode, because I will not put it in I'll just put it as a surprise, and maybe you guys will be surprised too. So, on the Jacks open up the 2023-24 season November 9th at Middle Tennessee State, and they will host New Mexico State on December 20th. Both games as part of that WAC Conference USA Alliance. I don't know if you both know that.
Did not.
Okay, so surprised you a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
And
who are your sources? Where is this coming from?
Just trust me on that.
I mean, I believe you, but we want in with these.
And then the Lumberjacks will actually open up WAC play on November 29th at home against Tarleton.
Okay.
And 3 nights later on a Saturday, they will play ACU December 2nd. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys, since you're big SFA fans. Give you 4 games on the schedule so far that I know about. We're going to put more out about that WAC USA Alliance this week, working with Rocco Miller, who's trying to confirm some things that I don't have. But we have dates for most of the games, and I just wanted to break that news to both of you, who they will play in the WAC USA Challenge. So, speaking of that, since you know that they're going to host, did I say host? Yes, they're going to host New Mexico State.
Yeah, you said host.
How do you feel that Kyle Keller gets to go up against Jason Hooten again? And you get to see a former Jack in Jalen Jackson Posey come back to NAC.
I would love to see Jalen, 100%.
Yeah. I'm excited to see JJP.
We will 100% give that boy a big hug and still tell him we love him, even though he's working for the enemy now. I don't know, Jaclyn. You can say what you want to say about Jason Hooten, but
I mean, he's almost like the enemy that you love to hate. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not mad about it. As long as we win. If we lose, it'll be a different story. Ask me after the game.
yeah. Ask me after the game as well, because you know what? It's almost hilarious that he leaves Sam Houston. Sam Houston leaves the conference, and we're like, we're sad because we're losing like that in conference rivalry. But then he goes to New Mexico State, and then it's almost like he's like the bug we can't get rid of, or I don't know what the good analogy is there. Like, he's that itch that just can't help but scratch. I don't know. It's just it'll be weird to see him not in orange, first of all.
Yeah.
It'll be weird not to see him with the Bearcat team. I mean, good for him getting that gig. I think that's a definite step up, obviously. Even though Sam Houston's been playing really well the past few seasons, due to him, but it'll just be really weird to see him on the opposite side of the court again, but just in a different uniform, different colors. Same thing with Jalen.
It'll be weirder to see Jalen.
Yeah, I agree. Just because we have such a rapport with Jalen. I mean, he knows us, we know him, like, and so that'll be the weirdest part. I agree, to see Jalen on because I don't think we've ever had that experience before where a former teammate comes back that we were super close with. We've had a couple that maybe were on the team for like a year or like a half a year or like 3 seconds, and then they go to another team and then come and play us. But not someone that we've, talked about in length and cheered for and know really well. So that'll be different for sure.
Yeah. All right, one last thing. The Jacks go to, like we talked about, they go to the Cayman Islands Classic, November 19th through 21st. They get LMU in the first game, and then they get either Drake or Oakland. Oakland's in the Summit League, and Drake is in the Missouri Valley, I want to say. Golly, that's how much I pay attention to.
You pay attention to us.
Yeah, I have no idea.
If it's not WAC, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it's straight. Yeah, they're in the Missouri Valley Conference. So good ball games there in both those first two.
Agreed.
And then, depending on what they do, they could face a team from I don't know. I think Marshall's in the Sun Belt. Utah State's in the Mountain West. FIU is in Conference USA, and Akron's in the MAC. So some good basketball, good game opportunities here at the Cayman's is it the Cayman Island Classic? Excuse me.
Yes.
So we'll see what they do. And you guys went to Canada last year, so I would expect you are going to go to the Cayman Islands in November. And it's probably going to be beautiful. I don't know if that's hurricane season. Is that hurricane season?
I don't think so. I think it's like to August, September, October-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we double checked that. And yeah, we did go to Canada last year, had a blast. Obviously, came away with only 1 out of 3 wins. But Canada was beautiful, so it was still a win in my book and in Jaclyn's book as well. And yeah, we're doing everything we can do and think about to get to the Cayman Islands for that MTE. Because you're right. I mean, yeah, the Jacks being there is great, but those other teams too are just fantastic. Like, it's going to be some really good basketball. So, I mean, very, very, very tempting, even if you're just a casual SFA fan, even just to go down there on vacation and see some good basketball.
Yeah, great outside of the tournament. So
exactly. I mean, tempt me for some action, baby. Let's go. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everybody follow the PartinMeAlex podcast at PartinMeAlex on Twitter. They have the Facebook page, same thing, PartinMeAlex. They have their YouTube page as well, where they do live stream when they do their podcast episodes. So Alex, Jax, I appreciate you coming on tonight. And, I hope I get down to NAC this year. I'm not sure. I know I have to get to Stephenville and I have to get to Edinburgh, South Texas area to go to UTRGV and Tarleton. Those are the only 2 schools I haven't been to in the last 2 years. But we'll see. Maybe I'll have to come see, New Mexico State at SFA again because I was down there last year for that ball game. It'll be interesting to see Hooten and Keller go head-to-head again. So any last words, ladies? I know that sometimes Kyle Keller gives a signature sign-off when he's on this. Matt Adkins does too. So I'm just wondering if you guys have the same signature sign-off.
We do have a signature sign-off, but I will say, if you can plan it to where SFA is playing UTRGV or Tarleton, and you go down, then we can maybe make it a meetup.
Yeah.
I like that idea. We get some good food when we meet up, so I like that idea.
I agree. And so our signature sign-off, you know what? I hope you guys have a great night, and as always, act some Jacks.
With Alex and Jax.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta WAC podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter at WAC Hoops Digest and Facebook under WAC Hoops Digest for all your WAC Hoops news and information.